Banks Derringer. We're going to give it a shot. We've got a 2019 F-250 with a 6.7 diesel. This is our unboxing of the Derringer setup. So the Derringer setup is not actually a tuner. It's kind of like a manipulator. It intercepts the signal from the OBD2 port and tweaks it based on how you're driving. The biggest thing about the Derringer, it doesn't show up on your computer. It doesn't flash your computer, it doesn't void the warranty, and it gives you a little bit of power. So this one is about 59 horsepower it's supposed to give you, and about 106 foot-pounds of torque. Let's see what we got in here. Actually comes with a gauge. Here's the actual unit itself, the module. And pull these wires out, kind of lay things out where they're supposed to go. What I'd like to do is make sure that we kind of have an idea which way the wires go before we start just thrashing things around. Obviously, that goes from the Derringer to the gauge. You got one gauge plug in back there, the 6-point. If I can untie this right. What I wanted to do is get a little bit more power of it. I want to try the Derringer out. I did put one of these on a friend of mine's 2014, I believe it was. Noticeable increase. He's really happy with it. And if you have any problems with the warranty and your dealer just kind of being a butt about it, you can take it off. It leaves no footprint. This is one of the main cables right here, so you can see that it actually intercepts signals. You plug in one of the factory wire and you plug in the other side for the Derringer. It pulls in the signal, goes to the Derringer, pulls in the OBD2, and manipulates and tweaks and changes the settings. Some things I read about it though is like, it doesn't do anything to you above like 120 degrees. It doesn't do anything to your 35% into your power band. So when you're giving it fuel, 35% of your fuel it'll take and start giving some data on it. The main thing we have different, many people have done the install. There's videos out there like crazy on how to do the Derringer install, but we want to try it out because we have something pretty cool. This is a gauge bezel. Actually replaces the factory vent bezel, and it's not like your A-pillar gauge or A-pillar pod. This is just one. It's kind of cool. And I did do a little test fit. I want to make sure bases fits right in. That would be sweet. Can't wait to try that one out because it's different. So basically means you're going to pop the factory one off. Sweet little tool. I think because the platinum's different, so you can pop this black piece out, put the other one in, change the buttons out. As I was telling you, the phone box is going to be running that wire through the firewall. Interesting how it does. So, little connection test. Got to do it the right way. That's not even the right one. Maybe it's the other one. So one side, that connects. This canode connects to underneath the hood. This goes to the OBD2 port underneath the dash. Goes into one side of the gauge. I don't want to connect it, it's just kind of a pain to get out. This goes through the firewall to the back side of the Derringer. It hooks to the other side of the gauge. I want to do this in two parts. We'll do the install, make sure it runs. Then another video we'll take and do some tests on it. I want to drive it for a couple weeks, see how it does, and then do a couple more weeks and see how any of this difference it makes, and get back with you. So that's all the stuff. Instructions. I don't know what that is. I guess it's in the instruction book. Comes with zip ties, you can make it all pretty. And guess what? Not just stickers, dude. Not just stickers, but puppy 3D stickers. You like that? Nothing, Dougie, nothing from you?
I love it. You know I like stickers.
Oh, but there's your carb sticker. See that? All right, cool. Let's switch roles. Let's get it installed.
So under the hood, the only thing that we need to do, one goes to the map and one goes to the fuel pressure sensor at the end of the common rail. You can't say that.
All right, so map is in. We'll make it look pretty afterwards. Just want to just getting it connected up now.
The FRP is located way down there. Little hard to get to, but not impossible. The hardest thing is seeing what you're doing.
Maybe not.
I wish it was a little bit taller. Wish I was a baller. Okay, now that that's done, the only thing left to do is to pretty things up, route this cable, and figure out where we're gonna put so now all we have to do, plug that in. The starter cable has got to come through the firewall, and then we can permanently mount this and good to go.
Underneath there. So I had to take this apart to put this vents, and see the platinum's got the chrome, so the other's got the black. Transfer these switches over to the other one, and all goes back in. Now, got to find a place to push that wire through.
The last thing to do under the hood, we connected the starter wire. We have to run that through the grommet. The one we chose, after a lot of trial and error, to be completely honest, it's the big grommet right behind the emergency brake pedal. Pretty easy to get to, so we're going to do that real fast, and then you'll see it come through on the other side.
It's like watching the pet detective give birth in a rhino.
What?
Nothing. Alright, so the cables are pulled through, OBD2 cable and the master starter cable. Starter cable, right? Now I'll see how these are gonna route. Got them routed through the air vent. I think if I go that way, it might be too much. Maybe best to go around. Feed it through. Come back around. Ooh, that's a tight little squeeze. So I'm guessing my best do it like that. Pull enough to make sure. Alright, so now we should hook the gauge up so we can pull this much wire back to make sure we have enough out of the way. So you've got, on the I-dash, you've got a 4-prong and a 6-prong, and they're sized to only plug in one way. Snake the wires around. Snaps, so it's in. Pull it back through some. Snapped into place. Let's pull some excess wire back. It is a wee bit tighter. That's not working. Is that in? Back behind the weather stripping.
All right, the last thing we have to do is plug up the OBD2. All right. The only thing we have left is zip ties. So let's do it. We're not going to bore you with all that.
All right, everything's installed. Battery's connected. Wires are ran. First crank. Shut on. There's the eye dash. It's on. Alright, so we got everything on. This is the stock template that shows you your RPM and shows you your power level. So this has got 1 through 6. Level 2, oh actually I skipped over one. Stock, okay. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. As for each one, it monitors your RPM and your mileage. You can change so many different gauges and templates you can use on this. But this right power meter will show you when it's actually delivering more power to it. So many different things you can do though, as far as menus, your gauge layout. You can get down to an 8 gauge. And go back 2 seconds. It shows you everything. The only thing I like about that one doesn't show you the power level.
All right, where can we buy these at?
Glad you asked. So we sell the Banks Derringers in our store, truck180store.com, but not the pods. I'm leery to recommend the pod. The guy does great work, but it took me like 6 months to get it. But I mean, we'll see. If you guys caught up, but he's been way behind. But the Banks Derringer, we have it for the Duramax and the Super Duty. For some reason, they've stopped it on the Cummins and the Cummins and the EcoBoost. So really, the Super Duty and the Duramax are the only ones that really carry it for right now. Not sure why Banks stopped it. They haven't got back with me on that yet. But we do carry them. We will have a link down there. So do a little drive on it. I've got it in stock setting right now. I want to make sure things are running just fine. It feels like it. That gauge looks so nice though. I like the way that pod looks. But the gauge looks great. Alright, so I have no stock issues at all, it seems. we got power level basically stock through 6. Level 2. I'm just going to flip through them. Do level 2 for a couple of shifts. Level 3 and on and on and on. There's so many parameters you can monitor of this gauge. You can run like 8 gauges, and I think it's like 5 parameters per gauge. But there's tons of parameters you can watch on this. It's crazy. Now we're level 6. 6 is the max. There. Holy crap. Holy crap. This big boy got to speed fast. It's almost the point where you know something so big, it's got pretty good power. It's like it's kind of a little bit scary. That was not scary, but you felt the power come on. So power won't kick in until you're 35% into your throttle. So just like regular, just give a little bit of gas is not much. You see, it only goes on a couple of bars. But when you start really whittling into it, it goes. This truck. It gets, I mean, you really feel it. Mid-range and up, you feel it. So there's really, on this thing, there's no fuel curves is changing, there's no tunes, there's no mapping is changing. It basically just, as it said on their site and their videos, it intercepts the signals from the OBD2 and makes tweaks and adjustments to it for basically just optimum, basically what you need and how you're driving. It adjusts your fuel for that. So there's no black smoke, there's no massive fuel dumping, there's no changes at all. Again, some things that are pretty cool about it: there's no splicing of wires, everything's plug and play. There's no warranty issues because it doesn't leave a footprint on your computer. This one for the 2019, I think it's 2017 and up, it does an extra 59 horsepower to the wheels and 106 foot-pounds of torque, and the earlier ones does even more. And the best thing about Derringer, based on the other ones, you got Stealth and the Jet, some other ones that have the same kind of concept, nothing matches what Derringer does and how much power they're able to put out. But the biggest thing that Derringer's got that nobody else has got is a failsafe. If something was to happen to this module, then it shuts itself off into a loop where you don't fall into a limp mode and have to figure out how to get home. It just shuts itself down and just becomes like just an open loop for it. So it won't leave you stranded.
What does it do for your fuel mileage?
Ooh, wow. So they don't make any claims as far as fuel. People are saying that they get some mileage increases. It really depends on how you drive. I can tell you that I'm not going to see squat for fuel gains because I'm going to have my foot into it all the time. That, I mean, just right there, I got into it and spun the wheels, and I wouldn't even try them. Another thing too is that what I've read or seen on there, that you only, if you're at 30 seconds wide open throttle, it'll shut down. Not the truck, but it'll stop doing the tune because it's just too much. What they're expecting is that you're into it for pulling a trailer up a big hill, whatever, but it won't let you go that long without it shutting down. And it not shutting down, it scales the power back. It monitors it all and says, okay, you've been at wide open throttle for 30 seconds, which is a long time to be at wide open throttle. And so scaling your power back and your adjustments back so it doesn't really hurt your motor. And it notices if your transmission is slipping and makes adjustment. It watches everything. The Derringer watches everything your engine transmission does. If it sees wide open throttle for too long or transmission slipping, it shuts it back down. It scales it back so you're not getting that much power from it to not do any damage to either one of them. I'm impressed. I've had the others before on the other truck, the other 6.7, and you can feel a little bit of difference. This is noticeable. This is huge, and it feels good on this thing. So I think this truck will be a little bit more fun to drive. Yeah, it hasn't done that before. It's never done that. It was spinning in second gear. But you notice it didn't do it till after you got into the throttle some. All right, that's a wrap. I'm impressed with this. The installation was easy. No splicing, plug and play, cranked right up. Good to go. I'm happy. Let's see how it does in 2 weeks. So we're gonna do another video with some comparisons. I'm gonna drive it for a few weeks and then we'll compare it to how it does compared to stock. So we'll try to get some 0 to 60 numbers, some quarter-mile numbers, and just overall general driving and miles per gallon. I'll watch it all. Till that, I'm Jim. It's Dougie. We're out.